Am I the asshole for kicking out one of my bridesmaids for showing up in the wrong dress? My 23F wedding was back on Saturday, December 31st, and I'm still getting backlash from this, so I want to know if this was an move. In the country I live in, it's currently winter, and we get a fair amount of snow, so my wedding was a winter-themed wedding. The color theme was forest green and gold. My dress was obviously white, and I chose the color of my bridesmaids' dresses to be forest green as well. My MOHS dress was black, and everyone was to wear gold accessories. I have this friend, we'll call her Kat, that I asked to be one of my bridesmaids. When we went dress shopping and I told them the color theme I was going for, Kat immediately expressed that she thought forest green was a bad choice. She said that thinks it's not a flattering color, and thought I should choose something different and more girly. I said no because my wedding was winter-themed and I thought the color would go perfect with the theme. She suggested a pink, blue, even a red. I said no, but thanks for your opinion. She found out my MOHS dress was black and asked if she could wear black too. I said no, only my MOH is wearing black. I paid for all the dresses. Fast forward to wedding day, everyone's getting their hair and makeup done and Kat shows up 30 minutes late holding a bag that looked like it had a dress inside. I asked her what this was for. She told me it was for later on at the reception if she got uncomfortable and wanted to change after pictures. I was like, okay, cool. So fast forward, we're all dressed and walking down the stairs because the ceremony is beginning in 30 minutes and we were going to take some pictures before. Kat is the last person to come down and she's wearing a black dress. At the time I was preoccupied taking pictures with my parents, but my MOH came over to me and made me aware of the situation. I confronted Kat and asked her what was going on. She said she hates her bridesmaid dress, as the color is ugly and makes her look gross, so she's wearing black. I told her please go back and change. She refused and started walking away from me. I said I'm going to ask her one more time, and if she doesn't oblige I'm calling security and kicking her out. She began yelling at me to fuck off, so I called security and asked them to please escort her out. She started making a big scene yelling how I'm such a bitch, that I can't force her to wear anything and that I'm a horrible and inconsiderate friend. The wedding went on and it was truly amazing. Ever since the wedding, Kat has been blowing up my phone with texts saying some really nasty things and asking for the money back she spent on the black dress, since it was a waste and she didn't get to wear it. I had to block her number. Some of my other bridesmaids have been giving me shit saying that it was a little harsh kicking her out and embarrassing her like that. And that maybe I should give her the money back. Am I the asshole for kicking her out? Am I the asshole for high-fiving a stranger who humiliated my BF? My BF and I go to the climbing gym regularly. He is really into it and I just started and climbing a few times a week. He's stupidly competitive about it and quietly insults beginners who are not as good, which makes me feel self-conscious because I'm a beginner. Last night we were at the climbing gym again and he was doing AB6. There was about 6 people taking turns on the problem, probably because it's a newly installed route and they were all failing. Then a girl came and flashed it. She made it so easy, but at the end she didn't hold the final hold for 5 seconds and my BF called her out after she was done. Holding the last hold for 5 seconds is supposed to be the right way of finishing a route, but she was doing it so easily she definitely could have. I think he was just being salty because she did it when he couldn't. She laughed and told him he didn't even start the problem correctly and walked off. I gave her a high five because she was walking towards me and did amazing at the problem and knocked my BF off his high horse, and she was surprised but high-fived me. My BF turned to me and gave me a WTF look and wouldn't talk to me the rest of the night. When we were heading home he ranted that I couldn't be trusted to watch his back if I chose to take a stranger's side over him. I was shocked that's what he took from the climb and told him she shouldn't have nitpicked her when she clearly climbed it correctly, and he got mad and argued I was supposed to take his side over people I don't even know. Am I the hole for telling my wife it was a mistake to stay at a baby shower? So my wife, 26F, and I, 28M, have been married for a year and began trying to conceive in September. No luck so far, but the doctor did say at our first appointment that it typically takes close to a year for most couples to conceive. She's been telling people that she's infertile, which isn't true, doctor said she isn't. My wife and I went to my work Christmas party in mid-December, where my wife met my coworker's wife, let's call her Mary, and they took a liking to each other. Mary was pregnant and invited my wife to her baby shower, which was yesterday, and my wife sounded excited to go. I asked her when we were alone if she thinks she'll be fine. I know my wife and I know what typically bothers her. I knew she wouldn't bask in happiness over someone else's pregnancy, so I urged her to think it through. She said she's fine and she was excited, so she went. The baby shower was yesterday. About 40 minutes in, she calls me and asks me to come. I was at a cafe nearby because I knew she wouldn't stay long. I find her at the entrance of the house crying and a bunch of women consoling her. When she saw me, she came to me and pulled me to the garden to talk. She said she was dancing and looked at Mary's pregnant belly and couldn't take it anymore, started crying and ran out. All of Mary's friends followed her out to console her. I consoled her myself and said, "Okay, let's go, babe." "Where do you want to go?" "We can go for a drive so you can feel better." She looked at me weird and asked why she would leave. I asked why she would stay. She said she feels better now and can go have a good time. I sighed and said, "Babe, you know that's not going to happen. And I doubt the attention will be on Mary after this, and that's not great. It's her baby shower and she deserves to be celebrated. I can't see how people are going to shift their focus from consoling you to celebrating her if you're still there." She rolled her eyes at me and said she was going back in and that I could leave. 3 hours later, the party was nearing its end, so I go back to pick her up. My coworker and I stepped into the house and lo and behold, everyone is sitting in a circle with my wife being the center of attention. Coworker looked for his wife and she wasn't there at all. He called her and she said she had left ages ago. My wife and I entered the car and I first asked her how she was feeling and we spoke about it for a few minutes. I then asked her what happened and why Mary left. She said, "Oh crap, Mary. I forgot to say bye to her." I told her Mary left ages ago. I then said, "I know you're going through a hard time, but why on earth would you and her friends do this? If they consoled you for a few minutes that's fine, but the entire party? We really should have left earlier." She looked at me so offended and said, "Are you Mary's husband or mine?" We stared at each other for a while and just drove home in silence. I told her I want to talk to her this morning to sort things out, but she ignored me and left the house. Am I the bad guy for prioritizing my parrot over my stepdaughter's wedding? So I'm the owner of a wonderful rescued macaw. She's a wonderful bird but has a lot of issues due to an abusive former home. I've had her for 3 years and since then haven't taken any vacations or trips away as it would be too disruptive for her. She distrusts everyone and is very reliant on her routine. I love her deeply and I'm happy to make sacrifices for her. They are permanent toddlers and very intelligent birds. I met my husband by the time his kids were older. My stepdaughter was 16 at the time. We married when she moved away for college. Nevertheless, I thought we'd managed to have a decent relationship, until now. My stepdaughter is getting married in March, and naturally, there's a lot of preparation involved. They're wanting a huge traditional wedding, and she is stressed out of her mind. They live out of state, and she invited me recently to come visit her for a week to help make wedding plans and spend time with their 2 years old. I declined and she insisted to know why, acting very hurt, and I explained the parrot. Well, JT, all went downhill from there. She caused a massive fuss with her dad, saying she never got a mother figure and I never accepted her as my full-blood daughter and this is the ultimate snub for a silly animal. That I'm cold and emotionless. I feel really hurt and I can tell he agrees with her even though he's refusing to take sides. But I don't see why I should be expected to take holiday time off work to babysit and bond all of a sudden, and I don't see how I'm a monster for this. Am I the asshole here? Edit. Context of our relationship, we don't usually talk at all and she hasn't visited home in 4 years. Edit 2. Beginning to think it was maybe a mistake posting this. Mostly because this is a real and nuanced situation and Reddit is no place for nuance, and maybe personal relationships shouldn't be judged in the context in the first place. But also because I should be more understanding and a bigger person regardless of who is or isn't the asshole. Life is too short to be butthurt and offended. I called my stepdaughter and told her that I understand this is a big moment in her life and she wants someone there to help and support her, and that I'm still willing to help her in any way I can to plan the wedding via Zoom and virtually. We talked a bit and I asked her why she hadn't accepted me reaching out in the past and she apologized and said she didn't want to accept someone as a stand-in, fake replacement for her bio mom, but now she regrets it and would like a closer relationship, especially seeing how close her so is with his mom. We ended the conversation positively and I'm hoping things can improve going forward. I told her I'm a crazy bird lady and asked her if she still wants a relationship knowing that, and she said that after the wedding she's willing to travel to visit us if we have room, which we do. I'll leave this post up, but I'm happy either way and I'm glad the feedback here motivated me to make the call. Am I the bad guy for calling my girlfriend disgusting and telling her she should be ashamed when she was crying? I'm a 40-year-old man and my girlfriend of a year is 38. She has a daughter from a previous partner who is 14 and a freshman in high school. I went over there yesterday to find my girlfriend crying. I tried to figure out what was going on and where I can help when she told me she was crying about her daughter and how she is doing in school. I love her daughter. She is the sweetest girl ever. I wish my daughters were as well behaved as her. I have to describe her daughter. She has a nice friend group, does not have trouble with bullies, and generally seems very happy. I bet you're wondering why her mother would be crying if this was the case. Her mother/my girlfriend was crying because her daughter is not the popular athlete cheerleader homecoming queen that she was in school. Her daughter marches to the beat of her own drum, which I think is the best anyone can hope for. Yes, she's a little bit dorky. But her own mother referred to her as a loser during this crying fit. She's very into anime. Her and some friends actually started an anime club at their school, Pokemon and video games. Most of her wardrobe is black t-shirts with anime or video game characters on them. Again, she's a happy kid. She's got her social circle who all have similar interests. It's just not the circle her mom wishes she was in. Here are some quotes from her during this that turned me red. I never would have imagined my daughter would be a dweeb. She needs to grow out of this before college, and my personal favorite, I wouldn't have been caught dead with kids that look like that. I called her disgusting and told her she should be ashamed of herself. I said her daughter is happy, and how would she feel to hear her mom crying about her perceived popularity? I told her how lucky she has it that her daughter doesn't deal with a lot of the issues kids that days have. This ends with her being upset with me because instead of consoling her when she was crying, I called her names. I don't think the crying means anything. She was saying horrible things. Am I the bad guy for yelling to be let out of the car when my boyfriend's dad turned on the one feature I asked him not to? I spent last night with my boyfriend's family. We'd gone out to dinner and his dad was gonna drive. So my boyfriend, me, his parents, and his brother all squeezed into his dad's car and we went to the restaurant. I had a few drinks and his dad had too, since he was gonna drive. But on the way back his dad started asking me, you work on self-driving cars, yeah? I do. I'm a systems engineer and have job hopped between a handful of autonomy companies. He started asking me how I liked his Tesla and I joked, just fine as long as you're the one driving it. And he asked me what I thought about FSD, which he'd just bought. He asked if he should turn it on. I said not with me in the car, and he then laughed and asked how I was still so scared when I work with this stuff every day. I was like, it's because but stopped when he pulled over and literally started turning it on. I was like, I'm not kidding, let me out of the car if you're gonna do this, and my boyfriend's dad and brother started laughing at me, and my boyfriend still wasn't saying anything. His dad was like, it'll be fine, and I reached over my boyfriend's little brother and tried the door handle, which was locked. I was getting mad, and probably more so because I was tipsy, and I yelled at him, let me the fuck out. My boyfriend started trying to tell me to calm down because I was drunk, and I told him that it didn't fucking matter, I'd be out of here sober or drunk. He told me to stop cussing in front of his little brother, and I told him to tell his dad to cut his shit out and I wouldn't have anything to cuss over. His dad was like, fine. I didn't realize it'd be such a big deal and drove home normally, but things have been tense as hell. We got back to his house and he was mad at me for overreacting the first time I met his family all together. I got angry and was like, I'm not the one who decided to do the one thing that I said I'm not comfortable with in the car, just after I asked him not to laugh at me. He said that his dad used the car a lot and it was fine, and I asked him, since we're both rock climbers, would he ever get on a route with his carabiner that doesn't lock? What if someone says they do it all the time and it's fine? He was like, absolutely not, but that's different, and I was like, it's literally not, just like we don't know any climbers who do that shit, nobody in my field that I know would stay in that car. He got mad and told me to go to sleep. I was drunk. But honestly today I woke up sober and I stand by what I did, like I wasn't comfortable with what was happening, and my boyfriend's family all laughed and started trying to do the one fucking thing I said no to. Like whatever that thing is, it's fucked up. AITA for yelling at my boyfriend's dad to let me out of the car? Am I the bad guy for wanting to be paid for babysitting my own daughter? My 39M wife, 34F, and I live in at a suburban house with our daughter, 10F, Emily. Our neighbor next door, 48M, Walter, is a single father with 2 daughters, 14F and 12F. We have been living here for a little more than 2 years. My wife really likes watching scary movies, but I have never enjoyed them. I get too scared and end up having a bad time, so I prefer to avoid them. Her friends sometimes go with her to the more popular ones, but she also likes older, indies and foreign horror movies. She has always had a hard time finding people that have this niche interest, and that is why it was such a big deal when we met Walter and found out he also shares this tendency. They very quickly started to make plans to watch movies together. I was invited to be a part of this, but refused. I prefer to just stay at home babysitting Emily and Walter's daughter while they are in their cinephile reunions. Sometimes they go to movie theaters, but other times they just stay at Walter's place watching stuff at his home cinema. They usually have to go to another town in order to catch a specific function of some weird movie, so it is normal for them to come back very late. They eventually started doing stuff outside of watching movies, like going out for dinner. Walter invited all of us, including the kids, to go with him to a restaurant that a friend of him owned, but I said no because it was too expensive. I don't like that kind of places, because I feel they are a waste of money and didn't think the kids would enjoy it either. I insisted on staying with the kids and let the two of them go be themselves. This has become a regular thing, and it is in a way a good deal for me because Walter pays for my wife's dinner and she can't no longer complain about me not taking her to fancy restaurants. As both their movie and dinner nights had become so common, I have grown a little tired of the burden of constantly babysitting the girls. I talked to my wife and Walter about it, and he explained that he usually does not like leaving his daughters with babysitters. He says he is really comfortable knowing that they are being watched by an experienced father like me instead of some teenage girl. He nevertheless agreed that it was too much of a load for me and offered to start paying me a standard babysitter fee each time he goes out with my wife. I thought that was a fair approach to the issue, but my wife was fully against it. She says I should not be paid for babysitting my own daughter nor the daughters of a close friend of our family like Walter. We have been arguing about this, but she insists on this notion and it not open to change. She even gets mad every time I talk to her about this. Walter promised me that he will convince her, but he does not seem to have been able to do so either. Am I the bad guy? Am I the asshole for giving my Emil a copy of her own house key when she asked to get a copy of mine? My hubby and I recently bought a new home together. His mom started pestering us for a copy of the key in case of an emergency. I told her about the rule we have and that is only residents get to have a copy of the key. She kept complaining and even got the family involved. Last week, she demanded a copy of the key sent to her. I decided to grab the copy of the key to her house that my husband was keeping for years and send it to her with a note saying only residents get a copy, so this copy is for the home you reside in. She was beyond livid about it. She told the family and I was called names. Now hubby is complaining about how I escalated and made a mistake by upsetting her further instead of just sticking to no. Am I bad guy? Daughter dyed her hair badly and refuses to go to school. Can't believe this is happening, but here we go. Daughter, 14, has always been naturally blonde, however the last few months brown hair has been coming through her roots. She has asked us if she can dye it earlier this month. We said yes, but only if it's done professionally. An appointment is booked for February 8th, very popular salon with good reputation, meaning long wait times, but if it's being done right. Reason for this is both her sister and my wife have very sensitive scalps. Last time older daughter used an at-home kit, it went badly wrong, doctors kind of wrong. Youngest daughter was happy with this and agreed to wait, but this weekend went out with her friend and bought an at-home kit, dyeing her hair at her friend's house without any adult assistance. Well, now it's orange. We offered to buy a brown or black kit to cover it until her appointment, but she screamed she is a blonde, not brunette, and hasn't really left her room since. She is refusing to go to school until we fix it. I said I don't have a magic hair fixing spell, and the choice is go dark for 3 weeks or put up with the orange color. We phoned the salon but they cannot move up the appointment, but will contact in case of a cancellation. So Reddit AITA for sending my daughter to school with self-inflicted orange hair? Edit. To be clear, as it's been mentioned a few times, the brown/brunette option was a temporary color, not a permanent, it'd wash out in a few weeks anyway. Edit 2, we have tried at other salons as well, however they have similar wait times. One can fit Nessun earlier, January 25th, but honestly their Google reviews are a very mixed bag, 2 stars out of 5, so we're not overly confident with that one. Edit 3, thanks for all the responses with advice. We won't be dyeing it again and we'll try the purple/blue shampoo instead, hoping to tone it down. Also, wife just got off the phone with a salon who can get her in this Friday, so she'll have to suck it up for the rest of the week. It's going to cost us nearly twice as much as the normal salon, so guess who will be doing extra chores for a while. Final edit, wife sourced silver shampoo, so we'll be doing this shortly. Daughter emerged from her room, apologizing to us for the tantrum, which we accepted, and apologizing for ruining her hair. We laughed and said it's her hair, not ours, so she should apologize to herself, so she grabbed a mirror, stroked her hair and said a heartfelt sorry. So all seems to be right in the world again. Am I the asshole for not giving my daughter her education fund money? I, 54M, have 2 children, 23F and 21M, with my wife, 52F. When the kids were young, my parents set up education funds for both of them, which was very generous of them. My wife and I always expected our kids to attend college and then graduate school, as we have done. I have a PhD, my wife has a master's. Because of this, we decided not to use the funds for our kids' undergrad degrees and did not tell them about the money. My daughter has always been more into the liberal arts, while my son is more of a STEM guy. My wife and I worried about her ability to find a job, but she insisted on studying music and film in college. She was accepted to some top schools and chose to attend a rather expensive one, but she had scholarships to cover almost all of her tuition. Everything else, plus living expenses, was her responsibility. She lived in a very small apartment shared with friends in a not-so-nice area far from campus, but she was fine and learned how to budget effectively. After graduating, she luckily found a job that doesn't pay extremely well but she enjoys, and scrapped the idea of grad school. My son decided to do engineering, and he also expressed that he had no interest in grad school. My wife and I were disappointed, but accepted it since at this point he is already all set up with a very good job when he completes school. Since he did not receive as many scholarships as his sister, we decided to use his education fund to cover his tuition and living expenses. He was able to get a large and nice apartment of his own close to the school, which is important since his classes are so demanding and he needs a comfortable space to work. My daughter was confused and asked how he could afford this, and he told her about the education fund. She called us and asked why she didn't have one, and we told her she did, we just didn't use it because we hoped she would attend grad school. She seemed hurt by this and asked if there was any way she could have the money now. We explained that there would be a fee to simply withdraw the money for non-education uses, and if we chose to do that it would belong to her grandparents so they could put it towards their own use. She's been quiet and short when answering our texts, and hasn't answered our calls at all since then. I know that it seems unfair to her, but it's not really her money in the first place and she's no longer in college. Plus, her brother only received it for educational purposes and it wouldn't be right for her to just have it to spend now. AITA? Update, I understand the consensus is that my wife and I are the AH. I texted my daughter to ask if she wanted us to withdraw the money for her / what she wanted to do. This was her response, I don't care. Maybe they can transfer it to other grandkid who is 5, if the fee is seriously too much. Ick about grad school, I haven't thought about it much recently. If I do apply it wouldn't be for another couple years and I hadn't been counting on having any financial help in the first place so it really doesn't even matter. Thanks for asking though. Update 2, my wife and I are discussing our daughter's response and our next actions to resolve this situation. For context, my wife has always had a strained relationship with my daughter and did not approve of many of her life choices. She believes we should take our daughter's words at face value and assume she no longer wants the money. From some of the responses here, I fear that my daughter's response was out of resentment and I suggested taking out as much money as her brother was given so at least they received the same amount. She could use it responsibly towards rent, groceries, transportation, etc. or in some other way to further her career, so it would still be for educational purposes in a sense. My wife is standing firm in her opinion, and we will continue talking it through tomorrow. Many have asked about where my parents stand on this. At this point, they are not mentally aware enough to really participate in the discussion. They did know about our grad school stipulation and thought it was fine. They also knew that we took out some money for our son once we were certain he was not pursuing an advanced degree, and were fine with that as well. They said it was our decision as parents what to do with our daughter's fund, and they would support whatever we decided for her. It wouldn't be useful to ask them what to do with it now, but I have always said that whatever is unused will go back to their care. I have tried to call my daughter with no luck, which is why I sent the text. Despite what many have said here, I hope this does not end our relationship. Thanks for watching and we hope you enjoyed our epic AITA stories. If you liked what you saw, Please give the video a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any more of our great content. We'd also love to hear your opinion on these stories, so don't forget to leave a comment below. Thanks again for watching and have a great day.